Fame and money are always a big temptation. What do they lead celebrities to? Legal troubles and jail time.
My name is Knox.
And today, I'll tell you about stars who got into such trouble that not even money and lawyers could save them from jail. Believe me, you'll be surprised by the names. Let's start with Sophia Loren, a name that certainly doesn't evoke thoughts of crime. The Italian cinema legend, whose name graces the winner lists of Cannes, Venice, and even Moscow film festivals. What did she do? She tried to cheat the state. In 1974, Italy accused Sophia of tax evasion. The actress was sentenced in absentia to a month in prison. Returning from France, she was arrested right at the airport and sent to a women's prison. And no, not in a VIP cell privately, but in a general one despite her accolades. But here's what's interesting. Around the prison, her fans gathered, bringing flowers as a sign of support. After 17 days, Sophia was released early, but the legal proceedings dragged on for a long 40 years. Can you imagine? Only in 2013 were the charges finally dropped. But yes, she had to pay all her debts and the interest that accrued over the years.
What about a recent case?
Travis Scott found himself in an unpleasant situation in June 2024. What did he do? In Miami Beach, known for its vibrant nightlife, the rapper was detained for disturbing the peace. Apparently he was drunk and, unable to control his emotions, started shouting insults at one of the people on a yacht, mixing it with threats of physical violence. Not even the security could calm him down. When asked by the police if he had been drinking, Travis sarcastically replied, "It's Miami." He was released from custody after posting a $650 bond. Thankfully, it didn't escalate into a fight, but believe me, it's not just rappers who can do strange things. Justin Bieber got into trouble in Miami Beach in 2014. Yes, at the peak of his popularity, when everyone saw him as a sweet boy. At the time of his arrest, he was participating in street racing while under the influence of alcohol and drugs. After being detained, Bieber admitted that he had been drinking alcohol, smoking marijuana, and taking some medications before the races. But that's not all. Justin also resisted arrest, trying to push away the police. As you can imagine, the singer ended up behind bars. But even this wasn't the end of his troubles. Bieber's driver's license had expired, and for a whole year he was illegally driving a car. As a result of the incident, the court ordered him to take a 12-hour anger management course and an educational program on drunk driving. Additionally, he had to pay fines and make a charitable donation of $50,000. Unlike Bieber, Mark Wahlberg doesn't hide his tumultuous teenage years. By the age of 15, he already had over 20 police calls for various accusations. At 15, he faced charges of harassment against African Americans. The next year brought accusations of pharmacy robbery and assaulting Vietnamese people, again due to Mark's racist views. One guy was severely injured. Wahlberg beat him while he was lying down in a drug-induced frenzy. Despite the seriousness of the crimes, Mark spent only 45 days in jail due to his minor status. However, his legal troubles didn't end there. Sometime later, he was involved in a new scandal, an attack on a neighbor, resulting in a broken jaw. Another incident occurred at Madonna's party, where the actor started a fight right in front of the cameras. At some point, Mark did get his act together, realizing he could end up behind bars for a more extended period. All right.
But why am I only talking about guys?
Here's another Hollywood wild child. Lindsay Lohan seemed to visit courtrooms more often than film sets. Her troubles began in 2007 with an arrest for drunk driving. But as you can guess, the misfortunes didn't stop there. In 2012, she got behind the wheel drunk again and caused an accident. Trying to escape the paparazzi, Lindsay crashed into another car and left the scene, explaining her actions by saying she was late for a shoot. The court case lasted 11 hours, but Lohan managed to avoid jail time. Instead, the court sent her to the Betty Ford Rehabilitation Clinic for 3 months, prohibiting her from leaving its premise. Additionally, she was ordered to perform community service and attend an 18-month psychotherapy course. Lindsay was also required to regularly undergo drug tests and avoid contact with individuals potentially involved in drug trafficking. What about the criminal past of Iron Man? 1993 turned out to be a pivotal year in Robert Downey Jr.'s life. Just a month after meeting, he married singer and model Deborah Falconer, and the couple had a son, Indio. That same year, the actor received a BAFTA award for his role in the film Chaplin and was even nominated for an Oscar. However, fame showed its darker side. By the mid-90s, Downey began losing control. The first serious incident occurred when he was arrested for driving under the influence. Heroin and an unloaded gun were found on him. In response, the court sentenced the actor to probation with mandatory drug tests and a treatment course. However, the situation repeated itself a year later. Downey was again caught drunk behind the wheel, with drugs and a weapon. Additionally, he accidentally wandered into a neighbor's house and fell asleep in a child's bedroom. Wonder if they asked for an autograph. Ultimately, the actor was sentenced to a year in prison. His son Indio and mother regularly visited him both in jail and in the psychiatric hospital, where Downey underwent compulsory addiction treatment. The tension and difficulties related to his behavior almost caused the family to fall apart, and Robert nearly relapsed. Conor McGregor, known not only for his UFC achievements but also for various antics, added another incident to his track record. Yes, someone dared to arrest him. In 2019, in South Beach, McGregor was arrested after he took a mobile phone from a fan who tried to photograph him. He was charged with robbery and hooliganism. However, the case took an unexpected turn. The charges against McGregor were dropped when the victim refused to continue cooperating with law enforcement and withdrew his testimony. Thus, the scandalous story ended unexpectedly quickly, leaving only noise in the press and another page in the fighter's biography. I think the guy got gifted a dozen new phones.
In the early 90s,
Mike Tyson, the famous boxer, faced serious accusations. He was charged with raping an 18-year-old participant of the Miss Black America pageant. Tyson was sentenced to 6 years in prison. The court case sparked a lot of debates and discussions. Many facts suggested that the relationship between Tyson and the girl might have been consensual, but these arguments did not resonate with the court, and Tyson was convicted. Of the 6 years, he served only 3. After being released, Tyson converted to Islam, marking a new chapter in his life. This period left a significant mark on his biography, becoming a turning point in both his personal and public life. Tupac Shakur experienced a similar situation. He was accused of raping 19-year-old Ayanna Jackson, who claimed that Shakur and his friends attacked her in a hotel room and gang-raped her. Despite the musician's denial of these charges, the court found him guilty and sentenced him to prison. The day before the sentencing, Shakur was attacked. The rapper received 5 gunshot wounds but survived. After serving 9 months in prison, Tupac was released on bail. However, his freedom was short-lived. A year after his release, Shakur was killed in a still unsolved shooting. These events left a deep mark on hip-hop history, turning Shakur's life and death into one of the most talked-about topics. And how could we forget the most famous Hollywood socialite? In September 2006, Paris Hilton was fined $1,500 and given 3 years probation for driving under the influence. But the story didn't end there. Later, it was revealed that Hilton failed to enroll in a mandatory alcohol education program as required by the court, and she also violated her probation by driving without a license. These violations led to a 45-day jail sentence. Can you imagine? However, thanks to her connections and fragile emotional state, Paris was released on the 3rd day and placed under house arrest. Rumor has it she cried so much in jail that she developed a stress rash. But this decision by the sheriff was met with disapproval from the prosecutor, bar and judge, leading to her being sent back to jail despite her tears and pleas. Eventually, after her lawyers intervened, her sentence was reduced to 23 days.
the rich also cry, and in jail no less.
Tommy Lee, known for his antics and love for the Los Angeles nightclub scene, had a whirlwind romance with actress Pamela Anderson immediately after they met. Their relationship moved quickly, and within 6 weeks they exchanged vows. However, their idyll was short-lived. Their married life was full of passions that often turned into conflicts. After one such fight, Tommy Lee was arrested right from their mansion. Pamela called the police, reporting violence. According to the prosecution, the actress had multiple bruises on her body. This was the last straw for Pamela, and she filed for divorce. Tommy did not deny that he had hit his wife. The court sentenced the musician to 6 months in jail and ordered him to perform 200 hours of community service. Additionally, Tommy Lee was required to contribute $6,200 to a shelter for women who had suffered from violence.
What about the old guard?
There are some troublemakers among them too. Sir James Paul McCartney, the famous British musician and bass guitarist of the legendary band The Beatles, faced serious problems in 1980. Upon arrival in Japan, marijuana was found on his wife Linda at the Okura airport. Showing chivalry, McCartney took full responsibility and underwent a 5-hour interrogation before being placed in jail. Under Japanese law, such a violation could have resulted in up to 7 years in prison. However, after 10 days in a cell, McCartney's case was resolved and he was allowed to return home. The musician later admitted that it was the dumbest thing in his career, explaining that he had brought the marijuana because it was impossible to buy it in Japan. Wesley Snipes, known for his role in the Blade trilogy, found himself in a difficult situation when he was convicted of tax evasion. Over 10 years, the actor accumulated a debt of around $15 million to the government. Quite the sum, right? The court, after reviewing Snipes' case, sentenced him to 3 years in prison, which is the maximum penalty for this offense. He began serving his term in a Pennsylvania prison. This case became one of the most high-profile celebrity legal battles over tax issues. But taxes are child's play compared to what the next stars did. Curtis Jackson, widely known as 50 Cent, grew up in one of New York's poorest neighborhoods. His father abandoned him in childhood, and his mother, Sabrina, who gave birth at 15, made a living selling cocaine. Tragedy struck her at the age of 23. She was killed, left in a room with the gas on after being drugged. After her death, Curtis, faced with the harsh reality, began dealing drugs himself. This continued until 1994, when he was only 19. He was arrested and sentenced to 3 years in prison. However, Curtis spent only 6 months in jail as he was granted parole. A turning point in his life came in 2000 when he survived an assassination attempt. As a result of the attack, likely by former associates, 50 Cent was shot 9 times, hitting his chest, cheek, arm, both legs, and hip. The attack happened at close range while the rapper was in a car near his grandmother's house. This event marked a critical point in his life, drastically changing his future. And Danny Trejo, known to many for his role in Machete. As a teenager, he fell under the influence of his uncle, leading him down a path of crime and drugs. This eventually landed him in prison, where he spent a total of 11 years. Within the prison walls, Trejo not only served his time, but also managed to turn his life around. He went through a drug rehabilitation program, permanently overcoming his addiction, and even became the Pennsylvania boxing champion in his weight class. Trejo's fate took a positive turn when one of his friends from Narcotics Anonymous offered him a role as a convict in the action film Runaway Train. The screenplay for this film was written by Edward Bunker, who was a fan of Danny from his boxing days. This marked the beginning of his acting career, and soon Trejo was invited to various roles. Despite his success in the film industry, Danny never forgot his troubled past and actively participated in drug rehabilitation programs and gave lectures in schools about the dangers of drugs. Truly a man deserving of respect.
What do you think?
And that's all for now. If you love interesting stories, know how to write scripts, edit videos, or voiceover clips, be sure to contact our Telegram bot via the link in the description. We look forward to collaborating with you, and thank you for watching.